What's up, everybody? It's me, your boy Ted. I'm back at it here with another video, and I'm about to eat while I make this video because even when you're fighting a good fight, you gotta have some lunch, and I'm hungry. So let's just jump right into this. So it's Disability Pride / Awareness Month. So I wanted to talk about a couple of things. I wanted to talk about disability, blackness, and intersectionality because I think that these are important topics that need to be talked about, especially with everything going on in the world. Um, it is really important to talk about how being in those intersections, how it affects um, your standing in this world and how people treat you. So that's why I thought that it was important for me to get on camera and talk about this. Um, just before I start, like what makes me qualified to talk about these things, I'm a Black disabled person. Um, I talk about intersectionality a lot. I've educated myself on intersectionality. Um, I live it, breathe it. It's a part of, you know, my life. So I feel like I have the um, ability to talk about these things. So let's just start with what I'm sure that we all know. Um, so when it comes to Disability Awareness Month or Disability Pride Month, I know that for me that's always been hard because when I think like Disability Awareness Month, I get that, but when I think of like Disability Pride, um, I know logically that it's just about um, I am not any less because I'm disabled. I'm not any less of a human being. I don't deserve any less of rights than an able-bodied person. But then I know that like some days when I'm in pain, and I'm struggling, it's like, and I think about Disability Pride Month, I'm like, well, what do I have to be proud about as I sit here in pain all day, every day? But I also realize that I have a lot of internalized um, ableism that I have to check myself on. And I know that a lot of disabled people talk about this, and they talk about how they have to consistently check themselves on their internalized ableism. And so I have to find myself doing that all the time. But my main reason for talking about this and like deciding to get on camera, sit here, take time out of my life to talk about this is because of, I touched on fascism and um, TikTok and everything on my last video, but I also talked about other things like missing and murdered Indigenous women, like how people don't see that there's a fascist regime going on. But to piggyback off of that, people aren't seeing what's going on, and I don't think people are really weighing how these intersections will affect their how they're targeted. And that's why I wanted to, talk about this, because the disabled will be some of the first people who will be targeted and who are being targeted. Disabled people, um, I know I have a friend who's talked about how she's experienced a lot of medical racism being no, I'm sorry, not racism, a lot of medical ableism being a disabled person. And when you add the intersection of blackness, it creates this whole other thing. So a little bit about me and my disabilities. So I have a slew of mental illnesses. I have borderline personality disorder, anxiety, PTSD, OCD, and depression. I also have some physical disabilities. I have chronic pain. I don't know exactly why yet. I've been tested for some stuff. It all has come back negative, but I do have chronic pain. I suffer from migraines. I've suffered from migraines my entire life. I will say that they're getting much, much better. I'm not having as many headaches and migraines as I used to as a kid. I have a bad knee, which was due to an injury I had some years ago. It didn't heal right, and now I have a permanent disability on my knee. I have trouble getting around sometimes. On high pain days, it's really hard to function sometimes. It's really hard to walk around. Over the past like year or so, I've had to utilize a cane before. I've also had to, like, if I'm in Walmart in the store, sometimes I can't walk through Walmart because I'm in so much pain. Or because my knees swollen, or whatever the situation is. So I have to use the scooters, and it took me the longest time to feel comfortable using those scooters. I'm so hungry. I overcooked my pasta though yesterday. I was so mad because I never overcook it, but whatever. I'm still hungry. So I've also always had issues with my feet. They swell sometimes for no reason, even since I was a kid. Um, I've done my own research, and it could be a circulatory issue that causes it, but I'm not sure. My feet has been giving me a lot of trouble the past couple days. Very swollen, very painful. Um, can't stretch them really well. Um, I also have neck, back, and shoulder pain that can get really bad sometimes. Some days I just sit in the chair just in pain. Um, Sometimes I can't do the things I enjoy, which sitting down and shooting a video, doing my makeup, painting. I couldn't paint for the longest time. I just started painting again. I have issues with my hands as well. They get painful and swollen. Um, and I have um, just different issues. I'm always fatigued, always tired. I can get a great sleep and just be tired all day, all day. Sometimes I have no energy to clean or shower or any of those things, and also the added thing of being physically disabled. I am struggling, though I've gotten better, with the reality that I also have physical disabilities, because before I had what a lot of people refer to as invisible disabilities, which are like mental illnesses, or people think someone looks normal. I hate that word, but it turns out they have a disorder or something going on um, that causes them pain or discomfort, or qualifies them as being disabled. So I had a lot of invisible disabilities. I used to be much more physical. Um, I can't run, jog. I used to enjoy jogging. Exercising is hard. Standing up, sitting down too much, um, walking too much, standing too much. It always causes a lot of issues. So, like I said, I'm in pain every day. If it's not my knee, it's my back. If it's not my back, it's my shoulders. If it's not my shoulders, it's my feet. If it's not my feet, it's my stomach. I also have IBS. I've had stomach issues my entire life, but definitely over the past like 5 years, they've gotten pretty bad. I'm finally on some medication to help with it. So I've got a slew of issues. So when you add the intersection of me being a Black person, it creates a whole nother thing. And when I say that, I mean, a lot of us know medical racism is an issue. Doctors have come out and talked about how, like, it's a thing. Nobody takes the pain of Black people seriously. Nobody takes the pain of Black women seriously. I do not identify as a woman, but I am coded as a woman and treated as such a lot of the time. So I know that before I moved to where I live now, I would tell people I was in pain, and I never thought that they really were listening to me. My first time, I've been on this earth for 28 years, and the first time that I found a doctor who takes my pain seriously was down here in Wyoming, and she's great, and she listens when I talk to her, and she's trying to find out why I'm in pain, which a lot of doctors didn't care to find out. So That is like beyond me. But that also gets people killed. The fact that Black people sometimes have to be nuisances for their pain to be validated. And with this fascist regime that's going on, there are things being done to further marginalize disabled people, and especially disabled people who are Black or who are people of color or minorities of some sort. So, I was sitting down and I was thinking, I said, wow, the way that this world is going, where like every day I'm hearing that the um KKK are attacking people on this day, or they say they're going to go to attack people, and they may not. But the fact is that Black people are living in fear, and not leaving their houses at night because they're so scared. Of course, when it comes to if these supremacists are going to attack people, of course they're going to they are going to target Black men, but they're also going to target Black women, of course, and they're going to target Black children, and they're going to target who they think are the weakest demographics within that race of people that they're attacking. So disabled Black people, we're right there high on that totem pole of who they can attack. So it's like some days I get worried and I'm like, I what can I do if I'm attacked? I don't have much physical prowess. I can't really do anything. All someone would have to do is hit me in the wrong place and I'm down for the count. So it's like, it's really difficult to sit here and wonder like what I can do as a disabled person to protect myself, because the way that the way that everything's going is not looking good. Trump has made it clear that he is a white supremacist. He's made it clear. His people don't want to admit it, but he's made it clear. This man went on national TV, said all lives matter. We know what he meant with that. He meant white lives matter. He's made it clear that he doesn't care about minorities. He doesn't care about any minority. None of them. He only cares about white people, and specifically white rich people. So because of that, a lot of POC and Black people are going to be hurt and have been hurt. I've talked about in the past video, I talked about the hangings. I talked about the number of trans women who have been killed. I've talked about the reversing the rights of trans people. I have a friend who talks about how they are revoking their it's already begun the effect of him trying to reverse those protections where like their insurance is not letting them get their hormones. Like it's already starting, it started already. And it's only going to get worse from there. So the point of this conversation is to talk about how those intersections are going to affect what is going on next. You know what I'm saying? And also remember not to be distracted. Do not be distracted, because they're going to try to distract you. Okay? Look up news stories. Look up what the Supreme Court is, what things that are being sent to them. Any news stories, like reputable news stories you can find. Don't let them distract you. Like they want to distract you with little things like people changing the fucking Aunt Jemima thing. These are distractions from what's really going on. They don't want you to pay attention while he's making laws to hurt people and harm people and oppress people. So remember to keep your eyes open, y'all. Keep your eyes open. So when it comes to privilege, when we break down privilege, right? Okay. So if you're a white person, you have privilege, right? You have white privilege. If you're a white male, you have white male privilege. So that means if you're a white woman, you have white privilege, but you don't have white male privilege, okay? If you are a black man, and black men don't like to hear this, but black men have a set of privileges that black non-men do not have. It's a fact. Like, I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Accept it and move on. Okay? Now, when you add in the intersection of someone like me, I am black, I am queer, I am trans, I am disabled, I'm dark skinned. So I experience racism, colorism, homophobia, transphobia, and ableism. Okay, so I'm involved in all those intersections. And of course, there are other intersections I'm a part of. But right now, we're just going to look at the main 5. Okay, so when it comes to me being a black, queer, trans, disabled, and dark-skinned person, those intersections immediately put me at a disadvantage that it doesn't put able-bodied, light-skinned, straight, cishet people. It doesn't put me at the same advantage, of course, as white people. It doesn't even put me at the same advantages as white disabled people who, once again, y'all don't like to hear this, but y'all have more privileges than we do. Because you are what? White. White privilege does not just extend to the rich or to the able-bodied. You can be a white disabled person and have white privilege. Sorry about it. Deal with it. But the more and more intersections that people of color and black people and minorities are a part of, the farther they are at the advantage. Okay? So the next question is, well, what are we supposed to do? Well, we're supposed to remember that when we're talking about Black lives, we mean all Black lives. Because I went to a couple of protests down here in Wyoming, and I went to one protest where they picked a route that was not disability friendly. And I was upset and I was mad because, of course I'm at an advantage because it was a low pain day and I walked the entire thing. I had to stop multiple times, but I walked the entire thing. But the way that my body reacted afterwards, like, I'm still healing from it, I'm still healing from it. So they weren't thinking about disabled people when they made that. They weren't thinking about the Black disabled people who want to come and scream that they are Black Lives Matter. They weren't thinking about us. I'm not hearing enough intersectionality when we talk about Black Lives Matter, or we talk about trans people deserving their human rights or whatever. I'm not hearing enough intersectionality about that. I don't see it and I don't hear it. It's not being talked about too much. So basically my point is that y'all can't forget Black disabled people when we're talking about these things. You can't leave us out of the conversation. I'm sorry, but you can't. Because here's the thing, here's the tea, and here's the fact. Excuse me. Here's the fact. Just like we know that a lot of some of those who are in Black Lives Matter are transphobic and homophobic, when it's literally queer people and trans people are on the forefront of these things. The whole Black Lives Matter was discovered and put together by two, I think they're all 3 of them are queer, by 3 queer Black women. Yet there's so much homophobia and transphobia, as if Black, queer, trans people aren't out here doing the work. Black, queer, trans, disabled people are out here doing the work, y'all. We're out here putting our lives on the line. We're out here using whatever resources we have. We're out here putting things together, grinding, trying to thrive for all Black lives, not just us. But I've learned that people only seem to care about the intersections they're a part of. So if you're a Black man, they're only caring about their intersections, how they can help their intersection of being Black and a man. You know what I'm saying? They're not thinking about Black trans women or even Black women. And we have seen through just how little compared to what George Floyd had, coverage that Breonna Taylor has had, and how still till this day, despite all this uproar, her murderers are still free. And we've seen that some people, specifically some cis men, aren't riding as hard as they did for George or Ahmaud. You know? So it seems that people only care about the intersections they're part of. So if you're deeper and deeper and deeper into those intersections, which, like I said, you start from here. If this is privilege, if this is the most privilege, and this is the least privilege, you know, the more intersections you have, you move away from privilege all the way to least privilege. Okay? So, like I said, all right, I am not white. So I already move away here. Okay, so if it's white, I'm also not heterosexual. I move. I'm not cis. I move. I'm not light skinned. I move. I'm not able bodied. I move. You know, I'm not rich. I move. So that's why we need to talk about these intersections, you know, and it's something that I need more conversation. I want to see more conversations on. Okay. I want to see everyone having these conversations, even white allies. I need y'all to have these conversations. I need you to sit down and I need you to have these conversations. Okay. I need you to realize that there will be no growth without intersectionality. Okay. It's not Black Lives Matter just for cishet men, and then their own little section, and then Black Lives Matter for disabled Black people in their own little section. That's not how this works. This is Black Lives Matter. This is Indigenous lives have the same value over white lives. You know, their lives should not be of any lesser value because they're Native or they're Indigenous. You know, it's not, we're more closer to this privilege, so we're going to think about us and we're going to just do what we do. Like I just made the decision. I said, until cis Black people march for me, I'm not marching for them no more. So when I'm advocating, if you're not thinking about me, I'm not thinking about you. And some people are like, well, that's not how, you got to kill them with kindness. No, I'm not walking for 2 hours, putting my body through hell. Okay? For people who don't give a fuck about me. When I was marching for Ahmaud. I was marching for George. I was marching for Breonna. I was marching for Tony McDade. I was marching for all the Black trans women that was killed. Like, I wasn't just marching for cis Black people. It wasn't just for y'all. I was thinking about Black people. All of us. Even the ones who are incarcerated, their lives matter. I was thinking about us all, but they're not thinking about me. So one of my main points is that it's all connected. It's a trickle effect, okay? If Black people, and I can only speak for my own people, but if Black people don't start bringing in, making sure that making sure that they're specifying that it's for all of us, okay? If they don't stop pushing us to the side and forgetting about us when they're creating roots, when they're having conversations, when they're advocating, when they're educating, then we gonna be some of the first ones who suffer the most and are suffering a lot. Notice when I'm talking about disabilities, I'm not just talking about the physical ones. I'm talking about the slew of Black people who have mental illnesses. And a lot of us are out there, despite our mental illnesses, doing hard work, but y'all not checking for us. People hate to hear that they can be a tool for white supremacy. They hate to hear that. But if you are uplifting only a set group of people, that no matter how much you don't like to hear it, they created those rules. So if you're saying, oh, Black Lives Matter, but not this intersection, because the white man said that this is not okay, and they taught us through colonization this is not okay, then you're upholding white supremacist ideals. If you say Black Lives Matter, but only the able-bodied lives, guess what? You're upholding white supremacist ideals. Like, point blank, period, 100%. That's just what it is, yo. And I was told, it was so funny. I was told by a hotep that I was a tool for the white LGBTQ community. And I remember laughing, like, and thinking to myself, I'm a whole queer Black person who talks about being a Black queer person, who advocates for Black queer people. How am I a tool for the white male community or white queer community? Please explain it to me, please. And don't come to me with that homosexuality is a white creation. Lies. LIES. I don't want to hear it. But I remember just laughing and being like, what are these people on? Do you not understand that, like, I'm out there marching for you while you attacking me? I'm out here marching for you because I'm not in the intersections that you are in. You don't give a fuck about me. All right. So moving on to Disability Awareness Month, I'm going to say this. Don't forget Black people and POC people when all these places are going to start making disability awareness posts and saying we support our disabled people. Yeah, these are the same businesses who fire disabled people, especially disabled Black people and people of color. Don't forget us. Just because you're not a part of us doesn't mean that you're going to push us aside. You know what I'm saying? And I know I touched on quite a few things on this live. And I want to make sure that I'm making myself very clear by saying that they want us to separate. They want us to not really fully come together. because they have power over us if we are still doing. Oh God, is there hair on my? Ugh. They want us, they love it. Trump is like sitting down, eating a bland spaghetti dinner, laughing and having a ball. Because whether you want to believe it or not, and I'm talking about myself too, white supremacy, white supremacist ideologies are still things that we inadvertently or advertently we subscribe to. So think about that. And we got to unlearn that stuff. We got to unlearn that stuff. So you got to check the way you're treating disabled people. You got to. Like, there's no other way than to really check yourself. You really have to. You really have to really sit there and be like, am I upholding white supremacist ideologies? So that's what I wanted to talk about. And I also wanted to say that my name is Ten. I'm Black. I'm dark-skinned. I'm disabled. I'm queer. I'm trans. And I'm proud. Now, that was really all I had to say, y'all. So I'm going to finish my overcooked pasta. And kick my feet up because my feet hurt. And relax until I have to go do my next job. And stay aware. Don't get distracted. And stay gay.